Welcome, 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 everybody. It's the
Hi.
Millionaire Ladies Mob. Say hello, hello, hello.
Hey
Hello.
people, hey people.
Well, we are excited to be with you tonight. Excited, excited, excited. Tonight, we're talking about friends with benefits. Well, friends with living benefits, that is. And we really want to talk to you tonight about, what to do and how to shield yourself and protect yourself with living benefits in case the inevitable, something happens in our lives. So before we get deep, deep, deep into it, we're going to have our ladies who are with us. We're going to have you introduce yourself as we always do every Thursday at 8:30, the Millionaire Ladies Mom. So we're going to start with Aaliyah.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Aaliyah Sherrod, but tonight my name is Critical Injury. Okay, so remember that. Thank you so much for joining. I am the healthcare queen, and what I do is I help provide solutions to some of the biggest problems out there today, and that is your healthcare. I help families, I help employer groups, and I help especially those people that are eligible for Medicare get incredible coverage and reduce or eliminate anxiety. So, my name is Aaliyah Sherrod. You can reach me on Facebook. Make sure you join us, our group, Millionaire Ladies Mob. And you can also reach me at aaliyah10k.com. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Aaliyah. Come on through. Shalonda, I don't know what that says on yours. It says somebody else. Financial coach, something. I can't see it. I don't have my glasses
It
on.
does. I have multiple personalities. And so the personality that you get tonight is Finance Coach Shay. For any other day of the week when I am after 5 p.m., right? I am Shalonda Kaiser Mitchell, but you can always find me on all of my social media platforms as Shalonda Kaiser Mitchell. Soon you will see Finance Coach Shay. And I talk to you everything finance, talk to you about your budgeting, your spending, your habits, how to help them. And tonight, I'm going to be Finance Coach Shay, terminal illness.
Yay! Thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, of course, of course, Carmen. Come on through, Carmen.
Hey y'all, how you doing? I have some kind of thing that's popped up in front of my screen. I don't understand why. Can you guys still see me? Okay.
Yes, just do the little
So
X.
I am Carmen. You can find me at carmen10k.com. I help you to protect your income, eliminate debt, build an income stream that you cannot outlive that is tax free, and create a legacy of generational wealth. Listen, tonight I'm excited at this conversation. I want to be your friend with living benefits. I'll be talking about chronic illness.
Yes. All right. And again, I'm Saran. I'm your host tonight. We rotate the host if y'all haven't figured it out. But tonight, we're talking about living benefits, and I'm going to be focused on educating you on critical illness, right? And you're probably like, what? First of all, friends with living benefits is something that all of us need, right? So many of you are probably familiar with life insurance in general. It's a policy that pays out a sum of money if your loved one passes away. But what you may not know is that it can pay you while you're living if something happened. And that's why this is called Friends with Living Benefits today, because we're going to talk to you in detail about how those things can benefit you and your family, right? So, unlike traditional health insurance and other things, life insurance policies usually have some premiums that are a little bit lower that'll give you some additional like bang for your buck and protection in your family. Think about this. Think about, so, and we're going to all have some stories when we start talking about our specific area. But think about, the friend that that a friend or family member that may have had cancer, had heart attack, had a stroke. Maybe they've gotten a terminal illness where they can't take care of themselves. Maybe they have something chronic where they can't, you know, do the activities of daily living. And we're going to go into detail on that if you don't know exactly what those are. Maybe you know someone who got into a bad accident, or maybe they were in a fire or something. All those things I just mentioned all go into what we call our living benefits or accelerated benefit riders on a life insurance policy. So I'm not going to talk all night. I just want to give you an overview, right? But think about it. I see stories. I see people raising money for, kids or family members who have been in accidents. I see people who've been in fires. I see people who have cancer and they have exorbitant financial debt. And then we see people who just can't take care of themselves and they need the help. So we're going to kind of do them in order. So we're going to talk a little bit about terminal illness. And I'm going to hand it back to my girl, Coach Shay. Talk to me a little bit about the details, like get real gritty with it on terminal illness for me.
Well, terminal illness, first and foremost, before we talk about a terminal illness supplemental product or rider, or however your financial representative or insurance agent has discussed it with you, what is a terminal illness? So a terminal illness is an illness that's going to lead to death. My friends and family, they often talk about how open I am when it comes to death. And I think that's a lot because I've been around insurance for a long time. So typically insurance agents, it's not that we don't have a heart or we don't care. We just typically talk about the facts. And the fact is, when you become terminally ill, you're going to die, right? We're all going to die. But when you become terminally ill, that death is accelerated. So those type of illnesses, you may not have known of it as a terminal illness. Cancer, several different types of terminal illnesses. But in doing a lot of research, I've found that the living benefit that's used the most, or that is borrowed against for people to use during a terminal illness situation, is cancer. And I'm thinking it's because there are so many different versions of cancer, right? So there's not just one cancer. Cancer, as we all know, can affect very many portions of your organs of your body. Now, with that being said, there are some cancers that have a very high success rate, meaning that you won't necessarily die. Looking at the benefits, we have claim specialists. And sometimes they make those determinations because we do have these riders and we have these supplemental products, but it's always an application process. So when you become terminally ill, if you have the right kind of policy, a policy that offers these type of benefits, you are able to accelerate some of that, what would be called death benefit, and use it while you're living, making it a living benefit. So let's say that you get diagnosed with cancer. The doctor says you have this certain kind of cancer that you're going to die. And let's say you have to stop working and you need money because you're no longer working and this was unexpected. You can submit an application to your life insurance company and request to accelerate some of that death benefit while you're alive so that you can carry on with your needs. A lot of different policies have a lot of different rules to how much you can use. It's all written in the policies, which is another reason why you want to make sure that you have your yearly review with your representative, or so that they can go over your plans and be sure that you have not what you need, because you don't necessarily know that you're going to need it, but in preparation for if you do need it. And make sure that you're on the right type of policy. Maybe we don't know exactly what's going to happen in the future, but I will let you know that a majority of the women in my family do die from some form of cancer. Grandmother, great grandmother, great great grandmother, right? So, with that being said, that would tell me, I'm not jinxing myself or anything along those lines, but that would tell me that I would need a cancer policy, right? Or some sort of supplemental product like this living benefit rider to support me should that occur, because there comes a moment when you can't look at these things as blind. You have to use the tools around you to make informed decision, and the tools around me would be previous family members that, and in some cases that could be a disqualifier, which is why you want to make sure that you get these products early. Right?
Wow.
Right, right,
Wow.
for sure. I mean, and you gave us a lot to, chew
I'm
on. I
sorry.
love.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to blubber, but I will.
No, no, I
Like,
love
cut
it. You
me
gave us a
off.
lot to chew on because I mean, something you said that, is important for us to think about family history. You know, a lot of us don't even think about, a lot of people may not think about, what happens in your family. Like you said with your women on my mother's side of the family, a lot of the women pass around 40 or before 40. Well, I missed that. I'm double 22, but on my dad's side, they're 80, 90 plus. And so, all right, well, what else is in the family? What kind of illnesses and those types of things. And then statistically, and I had some statistics because I went to a couple of like medical conferences about cancer and stuff like that. Statistically, if you have people in your family, in your close lineage, you have a higher likelihood of having some form. Again, not jinxing it, protect yourself, right? And that's what we're talking about tonight. I love it. We're going to come back again to
I
terminal
have,
illness,
can
but I
I
want
say, let me say one
go
thing.
ahead.
Or
Okay.
Carmen, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
you can go ahead. I just wanted to touch on something she said before we forget it, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, most of us don't even think about it. But when we are sitting down at the doctor's office and we're filling out paperwork, what do they ask you? Your family
Family,
history. Why are they asking you that? Think about it next time. And when you think
statistics.
about it, you think about this call we're having today.
Yep,
Okay? What did your mother pass away from? Or if she's still living, what does she have? What is your
right.
father, your grandparents? Were they diabetics? So that's all I wanted to say, Carmen.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Go ahead, Carmen, put a pin in it, and then I'm gonna pitch you, I'm gonna intro you on the chronic illness, so don't go right into it.
Oh, is it my turn? Okay. But listen, no. What Shay said when she said she's talking about terminal illness, but she kind of branched off a little bit and talked about critical illness. And I don't want people to miss that point,
Right,
right?
right.
Especially, she said, if you've had that history in your family, that can be a reason for you getting denied later on. So make sure you do it early. The other thing is, um, do not, we have a tendency to make the decisions ourselves. Get with a financial professional. Understand that there are some critical illness policies that doesn't care that your family has had it, and that is a policy that you would probably want to have, because
Mm-hmm.
when do they pay upon diagnosis. So now you don't even have to wait for a doctor to say that you may die in the next 12 or 24 months, because they
Right.
pay on diagnosis. And many of us don't even realize that. And I thought I saw a statistic that said if there's 5 women in a room, statistically 3 of them, especially Black
Mm-hmm.
women, are going to get cancer. So having a cancer policy, especially when you're young, right? Because once they do all of the mortality rates and this on that, when you're younger, you pay next to nothing. So it's important for you to have that. The other thing is that all insurance policies are not the same. So
No.
when people tell you that that you are going to pay 3 cents for it, you get what you pay for, because you might not get that terminal illness rider on there. Additionally, it might have some other stipulations, like you have to jump over the moon on a Tuesday in order for you to be able to claim these benefits. You have to be in a licensed nursing home before you would pay these benefits. Or they pay
Or the
like
percentage.
or
Right,
they
or
feel like
percentage.
50% or 25% of that. So that's why this conversation is important, and for you to understand that these things even exist. When I was in my 20s, I didn't even understand. I didn't no one ever told me this.
You were
And
invincible in your 20s. There was no way none of this was going to happen, you know? And that's why
But
we're
not
having
only
this
that,
conversation.
we didn't have StreamYard. We didn't have,
there you go.
Facebook. We didn't have the opportunity for people who know about this stuff to educate us on it. We had our K through 12 teachers and our parents. That's what
Right.
we had.
Right.
And
And
our
then
Right.
we
neighbors,
Right.
had
whatever that was,
then we
right?
had the realization when our grandparent died of cancer. But we
Right.
didn't have an education behind it when they died for cancer. We just
Right.
had, well, we have to go to a funeral. We have to fry some fish and make some plates
And we
so
got to
that we
have
can pay
ribs. I
for
mean, I
this
don't know what kind
funeral.
of funeral you're going to. There's got to be ribs. I'm just saying.
She talking about paying for the funeral. That's what she talking
No,
about. Then we
no,
gotta
I was
fry
talking
some
about the
fish for
ribs.
that. We don't give ribs when we trying to raise money.
Right. Who gets ribs? we have fish fries and
Yeah,
spaghetti.
pork. But I love that. So let's talk. Let's Carmen, come on, bring it back to you. Talk to me. Chronic illness. You know, you get something, you got something, you're gonna live, but you need some help. So give me some nitty gritty on chronic illness.
And I love this that I got to talk a little bit about chronic illness. You want to make sure that the policy you're getting has chronic illness, because the likelihood that you will come down with something, the older you get, it's greater. And if you have a life insurance policy that only pays you when you die, that's not going to help you. So my thing is, what if you live, right? So a chronic illness, and the reason why you want to get with these ladies right here is that we offer chronic illness at no additional cost, right? Yeah, our cost may be a little bit more expensive than the 3 cents one down the street, but we offer it at no additional cost, right? So that's important to know. You get what you pay for. And as long as you're diagnosed with a chronic illness, you have a doctor that can support that you're diagnosed with a chronic illness, it protects you. All right, so let's talk about what is a chronic illness. Why am I here? Like, where is my thing moved? Oh, okay, here we go.
Your thingy,
Over there
your
looking like
virtual
Ghost
background has
Dad.
sucked you
I
in.
disappeared. I
Look
disappeared.
like Ghost
I need a
Dad.
green screen, is what I heard. Actually, I heard
So
that
just keep telling us about the chronic illness.
I need a green screen from it. Okay, so hold on. I made some notes here. All right, so your chronic illness benefit, what this does, it is allows you to accelerate your death benefit so that you can use it while you're alive, as long as you've been disabled or unable to perform at least 2 of the activities of daily living for 90 days or longer. Okay, now some states might have some other stipulations. I think like in Maryland it's 30 days or 60 days, and some other states might think, but for the most part it's about 90 days you're unable to do the activities of daily living. So what are activities of daily living? Guys, it's bathing, right? The ability to wash oneself on a routine basis by a sponge bath or a tub or a shower, including getting in and out of the shower. If you're unable to do that by yourself, that means you can't perform one of the activities of daily living. Another one, continence. That's the ability to maintain bowel or bladder function, right? When you're unable to maintain control of or the ability to perform personal hygiene, meaning like you have to get care with a catheter or a colostomy bag. That means that you're unable to perform one of those functions. Dressing yourself, a third one, dressing yourself, the ability to put on your clothes, take off and put on clothing and fasten and, zip and whatever. The ability to eat. Okay, feed your own self from a plate or a cup, or sit at a table and feed yourself, right? If you're being fed intravenously or by a tube or something like that, you're unable to perform that. Toileting, getting to and from the toilet, being able to perform the associated personal hygiene. Okay, transferring yourself, getting into or out of bed, getting on, down, sitting down on a chair, or getting up on a chair or a wheelchair, any of those things. Those I listed 6, but you only need to be unable to do 2 of them in order to be able to qualify for this. Now, what happens if that happens? You are able to get up to 2% per month of your debt benefit. Okay, so if your debt benefit is $100,000, right? That's about $2,000 a month. That you can get while you're unable to do that. I hope that my math was right there. And then you can every year. Typically, they pay it on a annual basis, so you get 24% of it, and every year you get to requalify, submit that you still able to do that. All right.
Wow. Absolutely amazing, Carmen. And what's interesting is there's so many people that already have chronic illnesses that when it comes time for them to try and get some type of coverage, or they finally get with one of us, and then they're not eligible. They may end up being eligible for a life insurance product, but they may not be able to get that rider because they already have a chronic illness. And I love that you said something important, that you get a monthly payment to help you with your activities of daily living. Because what if you need someone to, because you're going to need someone to come in and help you, and that person may need to be paid, whether it be a licensed a medical professional, or even in some instances we can pay our family members to help us, especially if they're not going to their own job, right? It's not just a physical hardship, it's not a financial hardship for our family members. So I love that.
Hold
So
on one
we've already
second.
covered 2. So we've
Oh,
covered 2. We've covered terminal illness benefit and chronic illness benefit. So that's 2 of the 4 we're going to talk about. But go ahead, Aaliyah. I want you to put your
so
pin in it.
this is something that I just learned. So this is a point. I was reading that. So Carmen, you said if a chronic illness, the rider, if it triggers because you have a chronic illness, you get a monthly on this particular carrier, monthly.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing, because if I can't get out of the bed, and if I
Right.
can't go to the bathroom, if I can't go make a plate to eat, and we don't think about that. If you've ever had knee or leg or ankle surgery or anything like that, you'll know what I'm talking about. But these are
Mm-hmm.
chronic illnesses where you can't, that you have 2 of the activities triggers the monthly benefit for whatever policy that you bought. That's what you go over with your
But
professional.
you know what's sad about that, Leah, is that there are so many people that could use this, but we haven't got the word out fast enough, because this is going to happen to so many people.
Yeah.
When I say there's so many people that could use this means that they're going to have this. People, every day people struggle with getting home health care nurses to come to their
Mm-hmm.
home
Yeah.
for short periods of time, because their family member had a stroke or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, and that stroke victim can no longer, for that short period of time until they go through rehab or whatnot, feed themselves. If they can't feed themselves, they probably can't bathe themselves. There's 2. They probably
Right.
can't
Right.
transport
Right.
And you,
themselves from.
and you know what? The things for us to also remember here is that once your doctor certifies this, they pay you directly, and
Right.
Yep.
you get the opportunity to do what you need with that money. A lot of times when you suffer from 2 of the activities of daily living or anything like that, any chronic illness, it's not just you that's being that is it's being that's being affected. Because for
Right.
instance, if you are unable to do it and then a spouse cannot pay someone to come do it, then that spouse is missing work, and now he does or she doesn't get paid because now they have to be there to do that. And so sometimes it breaks my heart when I do Medicare as well, and a lot of my clients they have exhausted all the money that
Yep.
they had in their savings accounts and everything like that, and now the husband has to work husband or wife has to work either part-time or something to keep doing that, to be able to take care of the person, or they're being neglected. They're really
Yes.
being
Yes.
neglected because it's you stay here in your pamper until I get home, or we have no home.
Right.
And
Right.
these are the things that can help with
Yep.
um early on in the thing. And like Saran said, you think you're invincible when you're in your 20s or your 30s or whatever. But the thing of the matter is that's the time to look at it, um because it's so much cheaper then. And
Right.
then we can't depend on GoFundMe, right?
Right.
We cannot depend on GoFundMe. I think last week I told y'all I made a mistake and I said someone was lucky because they got $2 million on GoFundMe, and they weren't lucky because now they have no parent, right? But we
Mm,
have to plan for this,
for
right?
that. For
The
that.
thing
Yep.
about it is that some of us put something on GoFundMe and we get $2, two hundred
You get
dollars if we're lucky.
well, and to what you're saying, I was going to wrap it up. So the important part here is, there's a couple different scenarios we can think about when we start thinking about life in general, right? We might die early, right? Or we might live really long, or we might become ill with one of these illnesses, right? And so those are the options, right? I mean, because we're not going to get out alive. We're going to be
Mm-mm.
lucky if we're able to be super healthy when we do. I mean, and many of us, you work on it, you change your diet, you exercise, you do all that. But again, so many things are out of our control. But what is in your control is the risk management strategy that we're talking to you about now to cover yourself if there is something. And the important thing when you talked about, the terminal illness benefit, it'll be a lump sum payment. The chronic illness benefit will be a monthly payment. Oh, by the way, it'll be a tax free
Free.
payment. It won't
That's
be
right.
taxed. It'll be paid directly to you. It won't be like GoFundMe where it's public and everyone knows. It'll go directly to you as the policy holder. So that's why this was really under my skin to talk about, to just go ahead and go, hard, go ham, as they say, because we don't get it. Let me say this: Black people, Hispanic people, us minorities, we don't get it.
That's
And it's
right.
We
because we
don't.
don't understand
We
it. It's because
we
no
get
one has
screwed.
offered it or educated it.
We
It's,
get
yeah, it's
screwed.
so now we're
Exactly
educating you. We're letting you know. Get
right.
this.
We know we have to take how many people, and I'm gonna go right into critical illness, right? We have family members, and I'll talk about this all day. We have family members who have Alzheimer's, right? Guess what? They can't do two of those activities of daily living that counts as a chronic illness benefit, right? I mean, it's just so many things. It could be turned terminal. They might have give you the thing where it's not gonna happen, but it's all those things. Nobody is put wishing bad on you. Nobody's putting a juju on you. Nobody's trying to jinx you. Nobody's doing all that. All we're telling you is the real facts of life, right? We could have and we'll get to the critical injury, but let's talk critical illness real quick. Critical illness. And I'm going to name a few. There's about, 13 to 15 triggers in life insurance policies, depending on the life insurance company, that will trigger a critical illness benefit, right? But a critical illness, I'm going to just give you a few of them, the ones you know. Cancer, that they don't say is terminal, that you're going to live from it. You're going to go through chemo, radiation, all the other, the homeopathic remedies, all the options they give you to get you together for cancer that we love and we need because we want you to be here, right? You have a heart attack. And I'm not talking a small one. I'm talking a heart attack where it takes you out of work. You've exhausted all your short-term and long-term disability. All that's gone. Now you can't work. Heart attack, stroke, same thing. You can't get it. You just can't go back to work. That's a critical illness. If you need an aortic heart graft, if you have renal end stage renal failure, if you have Alzheimer's is one of them. It's so many of them, right? You have these critical illnesses. And let's just say this, the top three I name in the African American community, or us melanated queens, we have a higher propensity of it because genetically we're predisposed, right? But what does that mean? A critical illness benefit, and it's going to pay you a lump sum, right? If you had a policy for, let's say, $250,000 or more, right? It's going to pay you a lump sum benefit of that policy. Now, if it's a term policy, it's going to pay you a portion of whatever the total benefit of that policy is. If it's a permanent policy and there's some cash flow that could be built up, it could end up being more than what your what the original death benefit was, because it's building cash is going to give you more money, right? And what can you do with that lump sum money? All of them, right? So as we go through all of them, when you get that money, you can make yourself comfortable at home, retrofit your home. Maybe you need a ramp to get you in and out. If you're still able to go out and do things, maybe you need to convert your first level into a bedroom so that you can live there. Maybe including you need the home health aide or someone to help you that you can pay them to be there, right? Or maybe, maybe you're just good enough. You can still kind of do your activities of daily living, but you're like, bump this. I'm about to go run my bucket list. Like the movie, you
Saran.
get on the plane and go make it happen, or get on a year-long cruise, pay for it, and just bunk it out and go do all the things you want. But it's paid for. That money is there. I know people who had breast cancer and survived and got their lump sum and haven't been back to work for 2 to 3 years, because now they really get to focus on themselves and take care of themselves and create a new life because someone happened to explain to them the importance of having these coverages, right? And that's
Let me
Wow.
why
tell
we're
you a
having this conversation. Go ahead.
let me tell you a 15-second story. I
Do
wasn't
it.
going to tell this story, but I'm going to, because instead of us telling people maybes, Carmen's so rude. Look at her. So there was a guy that had a life insurance policy that actually had he actually had a term policy, and it had living benefits on it. So yes, people, so that it doesn't just come with a permanent policy. You can
Yeah.
get living benefits for with a term policy, and the term policy cost him a little bit more money because he was a little bit older when he got it. He got sick. He had ESRD, and he started having to go to dialysis. He was on a kidney transplant list, and he just kept getting worse and worse. His spouse cut her hours at work because they could not afford, because he was the breadwinner. I'm trying to speak fast because some people are
I'm just
physically
kidding. I'm
counting,
just kidding.
but
Keep going.
he was the breadwinner. And so
Mhm.
his spouse had to cut her hours at work so that she could be there to take him to his dialysis treatments. And then after dialysis, he would be really tired because it like drains you. So she
Yeah.
would have to be there with him at home. And he they didn't have any money. They couldn't afford home health care, a nurse to come in.
Mm.
They lived in the state of California. And so in California, there was a long wait list because there are some benefits where people will provide some funding to help, but the list was like extremely long because he was on the kidney list to
Mm-hmm.
have a nurse come in. Well, he got to the point to where he just couldn't do it anymore, right? And he was in and out of the hospital. Then his caretaker died. Yeah, his spouse. She
Oh my
died.
Wow.
God.
Wow.
So there was nobody to take care of him anymore. Now, remember I told you that he did have a term life insurance policy, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
When he got sick, he didn't pay the premiums
Oh
and the
no.
policy lapsed. And no one knew the entire time that he had a policy that had living benefits on it
Oh my
until after
goodness.
he had passed. So speak with your financial advisor, get a
Yes.
policy. So much in their life could have been turned around if they
Yes.
would have paid attention to what they already had and not let it lapse.
And that's
Yes.
why it's important for what people like us do, and that is having a yearly review at least once a year, with our clients, right? Because that could have been discovered somewhere along. And that's another reason why it's important to have a relationship with your financial services person, and have a good one, right?
Right.
And
Well,
with that, I'm going to tell you, Shay, I'm so sorry because I see
Me
that
too.
affected you so
yeah,
much.
for
Yeah.
sure.
But I'm going to say this, right? It is absolutely important for us to, as professionals, to really and truly maintain that relationship with our clients. And if you do not have someone that does that, you need to find a new financial person for these things. If
Right.
you have never heard of what we are talking about, get with us. This is
Right.
last week I kind of went off on a tirade, and I talked about the fact that people will tell you, that buy term and invest the difference. Guess what? You can buy term with us and you'll still get all of those benefits. If you buy that other term, you may not get all of those benefits. Certain companies do not give any living benefits at all, and some of them barely a terminal one. And when they do that, it is a very little amount of money that they advance, right?
Right.
What we do, we advance up to 80% of that benefit for you to be able to live and do what you need to do, whether it's go on that cruise, someone said it. And sometimes, especially if you don't need to be in a nursing home, a cruise for a year is cheaper than a nursing home. So you might want to go on that cruise and be catered to. And you can do that with the type of living benefits that we are talking about. Additionally,
Mm.
right? Additionally, they make sure that there's enough of your debt benefit left over to be able to
Still have
take care
your.
of your final expenses.
Yep.
Yep. So let's put a little bow on it, right? And Shay, I thank you for sharing that heartfelt story, because if we dig deep, we could talk about how tough this is, right? And really understanding it. And to
Families
that
don't know
point,
that. Like, you don't know what you don't know.
right? And
Right.
so this is the
All
piece
that
too.
had
So
to
when
happen was someone needed to tell them where their documents are. Because when
and
you
this,
become sick,
mhm,
that's not what you're thinking about. You need
right.
to know in advance where your documents are.
And what
Where's
they
your life insurance
cover.
policy?
And
Huh?
that's important, because when you're financial, when we talk to you and we're putting you in a plan and we say, hey, who are your emergency contacts? you know I need to make sure your emergency contacts know my information, because if something happens to you, they need to call me as well, because we need to find out if there's some coverage for you. So when you talk to someone who's a licensed agent like we are, and they ask you for your emergency contacts, and all you think is, oh, you just gonna call them. Well, yeah, I'm gonna call them, because they need to know to call me if something happens to you, because you can't, or your spouse
And
won't. You'll be too distraught. But you gotta
Saran, you
have
said a lot
that
with that.
plan.
But what people also need to understand is when you have family members that are in the life insurance business, you need to utilize them. Even
For
if you did
sure.
not buy that policy from them, you need to utilize them. If you wanted to go to a concert and you had a family member that worked at the arena, you would call them then. So if you
If you had,
go and
look,
you get a life insurance policy and you happen to have gotten it from somewhere else, and then you know that I'm a life insurance agent and have been someone for a long time, at least call me and say, hey, I got this life insurance policy. Can you look over it for me? That I'm not saying I need to take your business, because some people don't feel comfortable having family members have their business, and that's fine. You don't want to have any loose ends or any hardships. But when you pass away, at least that family member knew, oh, he had a life insurance policy with State Farm. Let me
Right.
call the State Farm agent and make him aware so that we
Right.
know what benefits. Talk to your family members, especially if they're in the business.
or
I
They
love that.
someone
want
that
you
you
I
to
love that.
know.
trust.
I love that, Shay, because we get to the point where we're like, we want to be so private. We don't want
Right,
everybody to know this and that. But some things we need to find someone that you trust that knows to contact one of us to find out if there's things. Again, let it doesn't hurt to have someone else look at it, right? Because even in this industry, we find just in the bazillion other agents we know, some of them don't even understand what we understand about
right.
these policies. And so, and that's not
No,
not a knock to them. It's
no, it's
just
the
they
truth.
don't have that information. It's an expertise level. So it's important to really, really, really dig deep. And we're gonna put some more posts and stuff out about these living benefits, because this, and I promise you, this is so under my skin, because I want us to be okay. We go to I mean, many people go, I should say we, many people go to church and you see them in the prayer line for medical issues. But guess what else they need when they're in that line? They need
Money.
money, because those issues cost, those things cost. But I want to bring Aaliyah in because I want to talk about the critical injury portion of the four living benefits that we're talking about tonight. And we're going to keep getting a little bit more gritty, because I think that while we've been doing this the last 18, 17 episodes, we've been really kind of nice and cautious, and we really haven't been just going hard on folks, because we need you to know this information. You know, not knowing and using this information could cost you so much in the long run. It could cost you so much in the long run that I no, I don't want anyone to regret not having gotten a policy or work with a financial professional. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about what critical injury will cover.
Okay, thank you very much. Everything was so good. And a lot of times we don't think about this critical injury. And so when I started doing the research on the policies that we offer, the one at critical injury. So I said, okay, what could be a critical injury? Well, you could be driving. Most people think of car accidents. And I looked at some statistics. And in your lifetime, you're going to have maybe an average of 3 to 4 accidents in during your lifetime. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, most men are involved in those accidents. So
Mm,
I know people who've had serious accidents. So an accident includes coma, paralysis, severe burns, and traumatic brain injury. Those are some of the issues that would trigger the accelerated benefits rider for a critical injury. And I didn't think about that. I know someone, and this is a very sad story, just like Shay, young man. We don't see, we think we're invincible. Young man. So this young man was working on a car. He was underneath the car, it was propped up. The car fell on him, fell on his
mm,
chest. He literally was almost dead. This was probably 4 years ago. They revived him, helped him out, did whatever. He is still today in a comatose state in a nursing home from an
oh God,
accident where he loved cars and
my
he
goodness.
wanted to work. It was his car, and he was, and you could be at home. I know a guy that fell off of a roof. It
Mm,
changed his life. That's a critical injury. And when
mhm.
you see on the news, and we all watch the news, you see, oh, they had to lifeline this person out of the canyon, and then they broke all these legs and arms, and critical injury. Critical injuries are encompassing a lot. And if you can get that at no additional cost with your life insurance, what there is no downside to that. It's a win-win all the way. Also, if you've waited too late and you can't qualify for something, there may be other policies. And when Shay gave her experience, I thought she was talking about me. I didn't pass away though. That was my life for about 11 years.
Mhm.
And it's very devastating. But a critical injury, falling. I live alone. I fall in my house. What if one, and I now that I start thinking about these things, what if I fall and pass out and nobody finds me? So now because I was on the floor, because I couldn't, it turns into something critical. Now I have to, it's really, really bad. And
Don't make us get you one of them necklaces.
I'm gonna get
I've
one.
fallen and I can't get up. Do they
Electronic
still sell them?
caregiver. I just became an agent for electronic caregiver because I'm afraid
Yeah.
that something will happen. My mother-in-law passed away in her home,
Mm.
and she was passed away for 3 or 4 days. She had fell while she was cooking on the stove and hit her head.
It happened to my godmom, young, in her early 60s, fell getting out of the shower.
So
Daughter
every
happened
moment.
to her boyfriend had called her daughter and was like, I haven't heard from your mom in a couple days. And
Oh,
daughter went 45 minutes away where she lived, had to climb through the bathroom window and found
exactly.
her mom.
That's exactly what
You
happened to my
know,
mother.
you know
But you know what?
that is so sad because these things happen so much more often than we might think. And
Right.
as I'm sitting here, I have a friend and she might be listening or she'll go back and listen to this. I'm not gonna think she'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But she was, in her double 20s or 30s plus 20 plus one or whatever right before, and she suffered a coma, a brain aneurysm, which caused a coma, a
Mm-hmm.
stroke, and that's a young person. I don't think she was probably just barely 50, and she was out of work for 2 years, right? So
Wow.
these are the things that we're talking about. My aunt well got overcome when she with the COVID, I guess, and I hadn't spoken to her in a couple of days, just like you would explain in there. But she was on the floor for days. Had she gotten some help, she might have survived, but she was there for so long. And I had to I'm here in Georgia, get the police. You can even travel that, and it's right in the middle of COVID in 2020, and to get the police to go in they ended up having to break that door down in order to go in, and they didn't want to do it. And I kept telling they refused, and I called back and I called back, and one man felt pity for me, and he says, I'm going to help you. And he went. The first set of police went and said they didn't see nothing. Obviously, you're not going to see something. She's in there. And I'm telling you, she's in there. And finally, I got a police to help me to break that door down and go get my aunt and take her to the hospital. But she could have been there somewhere from that Sunday, which was the last time somebody spoke to her, until that Thursday, I think, Wednesday or Thursday, when she was found. These things that we're talking about, we're not trying to be scare agents. We are talking some real life things that happens every single day.
Every day. Every
And
day.
Yeah,
it goes to
and
show that
here's
it's too
something that's
common.
interesting too. Here's something
It's too
interesting too. I
common.
heard this story tonight. You know, regular Joe Small. We're working. You said working on the roof, but maybe you're plumbing, maybe you're a plumber, maybe you're a pipe fitter, maybe you're doing something like that, and you fall through the roof, you break your back. Now what? Maybe you can't do that job again. These things. And here's something I thought about when you were talking, Aaliyah. Because when you do critical injury with car accidents, think about all the people now who are independent contractors in and of themselves. They're driving, they're doing Instacart, they're doing DoorDash, they're contracting with Amazon to do deliveries. They're doing all the little
They're
cool side
trucking.
hustles,
They're doing
right?
trucking too.
Trucking. They're doing all those things. But what happens if something happens while you're doing that job, and now you got to replace that income, even if it was a small income or a big income or a medium, whatever, depending on where you are, you get all that. But if you have this kind of coverage, if there's a critical injury, now that all that income is not only replaced, it could be quadrupled depending on how much your budget can sustain as far as getting something in place. I think we take for granted what we work, how much we make, and what we earn or what we bring home and we spend, and we think, oh, I don't need that much. But what happens when that income is no longer there? I don't care what job you do, you could we could all benefit from a terminal illness rider, a chronic illness rider, a critical illness rider, and a critical injury, rider. And just, I have a friend who her husband works in New Jersey for the firefighter. He's a firefighter, right? Well, but they don't that particular jurisdiction or whatever, they only pay if something happens on the job.
Mm.
Well, did you check for those people who only have insurances on their jobs? Did you check and see, what does it cover? Especially if you have a hazardous job. Does it only cover if you're on the job if something happens? Does it cover when you're at home or here or there or whatever? Is it
Well,
health?
not
Is it
only that,
benefit?
you have to also think about, for instance, the truck drivers, that
Mm-hmm.
they are paid. They're paid very well because they have a lot of insurance on them if they do get into one of those terminal accidents or critical accidents that cause those type
Mm-hmm.
of issues. But I'm here to let you know, I have seen those claims. Remember, I used to work for an agent that processed their own claims. I've seen those claims. They take forever to pay
Mm-hmm.
out. The reason they take forever to pay out those claims on your job is because they do full investigations to first be
Mm-hmm.
sure that you weren't negligent. So
Right, right.
people will say all the time, well, I don't have to have my own insurance because I have the insurance, from the job. And if I get hurt on the job like that, then the job's going to handle it. They are. I have no
Yeah.
fault against that. They are, as long as you weren't negligent, which means you're going to have a drug test first. And I'm not saying that everybody's druggies, because you're not. They're
Right.
going to check you for everything. They're going to make sure that you did everything by procedure.
For sure.
And so you need to make sure that you know your job and you do your job as it is in the handbook. Because I can guarantee you, if you get hurt and you go to file a claim and it's going to cost your employer some money, if they ain't never showed you that handbook, they're going to find that handbook that day and they're going to look through that handbook and they're going to make sure you were following those SOPs. We're not being scary. We're not trying to show you scare tactics. But the reason we're using life examples is to show you that we're giving you the real.
Real.
This stuff happens multiple times a day.
I mean, and here's the thing, like what you said, and it's almost like anything. If you're watching this video, I'm sure with this little 6 degrees of separation that we have, somebody who tried to file for disability, or somebody who tried to file a claim against their job for something that happened on the job, and you've seen them go through hell and high water to get it paid. And then by the time they get it paid, maybe it's 12 months, 18 months, 24
Yep.
months later. And then what? Now if you don't have your own savings, you could be in the poorhouse, as the old folks used to say. But I don't know where the poorhouse is located, but we used to talk about it all the time. But you could be in the poorhouse. But the thing is to really, insulate yourself. And this is nothing against work. The thing is
Nothing.
that your number one job is to protect you. Regardless of what anybody else says, your number one job is to protect you, whether it be your physical body, your spiritual body, your mental health, your mental state. It's your number one job is to protect you, protect your energy. I mean, we can go all, I can go all the way left with it, right? But your number one job is to protect you. And the thing is that we don't take the time, and raise your hand if you took the time to read all those documents they gave you when you signed up for your W-2 job, all the fine print, any little nuances. Raise your hand if you've ever read all of those, because 90%
No,
of the
where do
people
I
do not
sign?
read it, because it's like, let me sign this, and where's my cubicle, or where's my
And
workstation, or
actually,
whatever
we're
it is.
pretty smart people. And we're not saying that anyone out there is dumb, but I think that we review things more than most. And I
For
can
sure.
guarantee you, I have never looked at that fine print. These people gonna pay me some money. They're gonna give me a job.
Let's get it going. And the thing is that with that, we get those cool benefit packages, and they tell you all that stuff that's in it. But what about protecting yourself and making sure you're there? And I get it, especially if you just started a job after a long unemployment period and you're really just trying to catch up or figure things out or whatever. But the thing is that at that point, we should be thinking, I'm never ever going to go back to this position again of unemployment and no finances in this. And that could mean a myriad of different things to put protections in place for you, especially if you're working a physical job, especially if you're driving a lot. And we talked about truck drivers and things like that. But if you got a long commute, if you're commuting 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, 2 hours back and forth to a job, you're at risk because you're in the car a lot.
And most of the times it happens close to your house, 15 minutes away,
And then
10
it
minutes
happens
away.
close to your house. I've been fortunate over the years to where my last W-2 job was like 8 minutes from my house. I didn't even get on the highway. I drove past other people's houses to get there. But
But
the thing
Saran,
is
even
that
with that, you
something
have
can
to think.
happen that direction too.
But think about it like this, Saran. We live in a day and age where companies that have been around forever are going out of business.
For sure.
Like it's okay for you to have the insurance on your job. I encourage you to stack up. But and you may say, "Oh, I'm never going to quit my job. I don't care if I hate my job. I don't care if I hate my boss." I've had that client before too. Okay,
Ooh,
I understand you're never going to quit your job, but what are you going to do if your job gets bought out by somebody else and that new company doesn't have to provide you with the same benefits that you had before? It's happened. It happened to
Or your
me.
job quits you.
no, or that job quits you. That job's like, we breaking up.
And I was a government contractor. And
We
another
breaking up.
contractor came in and was like, "Oh, we're not offering those benefits. That's crazy. They were too generous to y'all."
Right. And you hear the stories. You don't hear these stories as often because people aren't talking about it. But there are people who, for years, were working at, like, think about, I heard a story of a guy who, his dad worked at Ford Motor Company for 29 years and they let him go 1 year before he was able to
Retirement.
retire with full benefits and full packages. And, there's still a few, of those folks from that generation, the baby boomers and the silent generation who had those jobs where they're coming up on 20, 30, 40 years where they can retire. And guess what?
Or they
You're
can
at
retire from the job, but they're not old enough for Social Security retirement.
correct. And you don't have that. And so it's so many things, but just to kind of put a bow back around our living benefits. The important thing is to really look into it. You're going to Google, you're going to find you're going to find a little bit of information. You're going to get the bulk of the information when you talk to a licensed financial professional, because even I could put it in Google, and as much stuff as I look at and I do in the finance and insurance industry, you still going to get a little bit of information, right? You're going to get just enough teaser. And so you really do need to get with someone who can break it down, who can show you the numbers for you to put these things in place. And oh, by the way, that $1 million baby, that baby that you're so proud of, that we love, and we see all the pictures of everything happening in their life, you need to cover them too, because they need these living benefits too. Because the earlier they have these living benefits, the longer they'll be protected. Go ahead,
You
Carmen.
must have been reading my mind. And one of my clients, who was very young when I got him protected about 2 years ago, it was only 26, maybe. That might even been too old. He was a tree feller. I didn't even know that's what they were called, but he was a tree feller. It's a person who climbs up in the trees and cut down the trees. He came here to cut down the trees. And anybody who comes to my house suffer the fate of me talking to them about financial literacy and protecting themselves. And so I did. I sold him a policy that had all of these benefits. Guess which one he did not get?
The living benefits.
The critical injury living benefit.
Oh,
Why?
because of his job.
Because of his
This-
job.
His job would
And
let him.
that's because of his job. Because his job is so very
No.
dangerous.
You're not saying he didn't choose it. You're saying the company wouldn't allow him to
The
have
company,
Right.
and this is the reason why I'm saying it. The company wouldn't
Okay.
allow him to get it. This is why. And he started young. He did everything he was supposed to do. But listen, that's why we advocate for your children to get these, right? before they're a tree feller, so that they are before they get diagnosed with anything, before they choose the dangerous job, before they make the crazy mistakes that all teenagers make and drink I mean not all, but some teenagers make
Right.
and drink and get whatever,
DUI.
before they start ruining their credit, because that has whatever, that has an effect so of them getting these living benefits. So moral of the story, make your kid $1 million baby, $1 million kid. Do it early, do it now. Cost of insurance is very little, and if you speak to us, we're going to show you how to turn that child into a millionaire, because everything on top of the cost of insurance is growing as uninterrupted compound interest, growing
Yes.
at uninterrupted compound interest. We are literally showing you how to create your very own wealth fund. Why do I say it's your very own wealth fund? Because this is not about a death benefit for a kid, and you are the owner of that policy. You can use it as you see fit.
Right. And so, okay, so we're coming up on 9:40 because we did start a couple of minutes late because of yours truly being on the highway. I'm not driving, guys. I'm sitting in the parking lot with some very interesting people going by. That's why I keep looking around like, what's happening? So I gotta pull this thing and get out of
Yeah, we
Dodge.
don't need you using any of your riders.
I don't use none of mine. But the thing that to box it up, and then I was thinking about this too. And if you're the ambassador of your family, right? You're the one who always talks to your family members about doing the right thing, getting the finances order, doing, learning things, and you're listening to us. Reach out to us. We can train you and get you licensed, and you can not only help your family, but you can help multiple families, right? We are building an army of strong people, especially women around the country, so we can continue to educate ourselves. Because what we know is that sometimes when the agent doesn't look like us, they may not have the same care and concern, right? And
Right.
I'm not saying all of them bad. I'm not saying that at all. Not at all. But what I'm saying is you want to have someone who really can learn the depth and breadth and can really bring you some options. The other thing is, if you're listening today, go ahead and take action now, because the worst thing is to wait and then there'll be something that becomes a disqualifier or makes you uninsurable or makes you not be able to get some of these accelerated benefit riders that we talked about, or the living benefits. So we're going to do our outros, and everybody does their outro different. So I'm going to start the way I started. Shay, go ahead. Finance coach Shay, go ahead and give us your outro.
I am Shalonda Kaiser Mitchell, or Finance Coach Shay. It can be reached at ShalondaKaiserMitchell.com or on my social media platforms, all of them, where you can talk to me about money. You can talk to me about your budgeting plans, about how to save, talk about some of those things that could lead up to rewardable retirements for you. ShalondaKaiserMitchell.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Shay. Carmen, our chronic illness uh, spokeswoman today. Go ahead and give us your outro.
Yes, I am Carmen Bernard. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope that you have taken something. If you missed this, please go back and look at this one. Just give us the 20 minutes, the 30 minutes, well, the hour, whatever we're on. Go back and look at this one. This one is an important one. I can be reached at carmen10k.com, and I would love to be your friend with living benefits.
I like that.
I am telling your husband. No, I'm kidding. All right,
This
Aaliyah, go
is
ahead.
not Monday night dirty money talk. Just so you know.
Come on,
I
Monday.
like that. I like that.
Go ahead, Aaliyah.
Okay, everybody. My name is Aaliyah Sherrod. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is also Critical Injury, and we talked about all the critical illnesses, injuries, things that can happen in a lifetime. Please reach out to us. My name is Aaliyah Sherrod. You can reach me at Aaliyah10K. Follow us on the Ladies Mob. Follow us. Watch us. YouTube. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram and
Instagram.
Facebook. All right. Thank
And
you,
TikTok.
everybody, for
All
joining.
right, and so I'm Saran Baker. I was your lead host today. It looks like I typoed my own name on the thing. I just saw it. But I'm Saran Baker. You can find me at saran10k.com. And I was your lead spokesperson on critical illness tonight. But the big thing again, reach out to us. You need work. You want to learn how to earn some extra money. Gas prices got you down. Reach out to us, millionaireladiesmob@gmail.com. We do help people learn to do what we do and make extra money to, not only make ends meet, but to get, where they need to be. If you really need the services that we talk about, reach out to us. You can reach out to us individually or shoot us an email at millionaireladiesmob.com. But most importantly, you can join our group. We have a group on Facebook, Millionaire Ladies Mob on Facebook, where we can have one-on-one conversations. You can ask general questions and you can get your questions answered. Most of us will meet with you at no cost to give you at least an overview session to get what you need to at least learn more and get educated. If you see we're doing a webinar and for another organization or things like that, join the webinar. But we're here to be your resource. Our first goal is to educate, and then for you to take action and get into a program, not to just keep educating you and you not take action, not for you to have monkey brain and have 30,000 things you think you want to do one day in the future, but to take action now. That's the most important part of this conversation, is to take action now. But that's all we have tonight. We'll be back next week, 8:30 p.m. Same bad time, same bad channel. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Share us on your page. This conversation was too important not to share with your friends and family. So again, good night. Bye.
Bye.